What if the most dangerous form of betrayal isn't a knife in the back, but a comforting hand on your shoulder? What if the most insidious poison doesn't come in a vial, but in a well-meaning touch that leaves you feeling emptier, colder, and more confused than before? You felt it, haven't you? That slight, almost imperceptible chill that spreads through you when someone you're supposed to trust puts their arm around you. It's a touch that says, "I'm here for you," but your soul hears, "I own you." It's the pat on the back that feels less like encouragement and more like a subtle push towards a cliff's edge you didn't even know you were standing on. You are not crazy. You are not oversensitive. You are not making it up. That feeling, that deep gut-level recoil that your mind rushes to silence, is the most honest thing you will ever experience. It is your deepest intuition, your most primal alarm system, screaming a truth that your polite, socialized self has been trained to ignore. You live in a world that tells you to be kind, to be open, to give people the benefit of the doubt. And so you do. You smile when you want to flinch. You accept the hug when you want to build a wall. You listen to the advice that feels like a judgment, and you nod, all the while a silent part of you is disintegrating. You feel drained after conversations that were supposed to be uplifting. You feel anxious around people who are, by all accounts, your friends, your family, your supporters. You've wondered, perhaps in the dead of night when the world is quiet, why does my effort to connect, to love, to be good, not equal the results I see in others? Why do I try so hard, only to feel more and more isolated, more and more tired? It's because you are fighting an invisible war. A war waged not with fists or insults, but with the subtle, venomous energy of hidden resentment, of unspoken envy, of contempt disguised as concern. This is not just another conversation about setting boundaries. This is a deep dive into the psychic architecture of human interaction. This is your initiation in understanding the empath shield. Today we are going to do more than just validate that feeling you've been dismissing your entire life. We are going to dissect it. We will explore the psychology, the energy, and the Jungian shadow dynamics behind why a seemingly loving touch can carry the frequency of hate. You will learn to distinguish the touch of genuine support from the touch of subtle control. You will understand why you, as an emotionally intelligent and sensitive person, are so often the target of these hidden enemies, these frenemies who smile to your face. And most importantly, you will be given the tools, the inner alchemy, to build an unbreakable shield around your energy, to reclaim your personal sovereignty, and to walk through this world not as a perpetual victim of unseen forces, but as a master of your own sacred space. This journey will demand courage, for we will venture into the shadows, not just of others, but of ourselves. But the promise is this: by the end of our time together, you will never again have to second-guess the wisdom of your own skin. You will trust the truth that your body tells you, and that trust will become your greatest power, your most profound protection. Let's begin with a truth that may feel both shocking and liberating. The most dangerous people are not those who openly despise you. They are those who secretly resent your light and feel compelled to dim it under the guise of helping you. Think of it as a form of benevolent aggression. It is an attack cloaked in the costume of care. This is the first win for you today, the first key to unlocking this painful puzzle. Benevolent aggression is the act of undermining, controlling, or diminishing someone while maintaining a plausible deniability of kindness and good intentions. It is the mother who constantly rearranges your furniture when she visits, not because she's helpful, but because she's silently screaming that you are incapable of creating a proper home without her. It is the friend who gives you a hug that lingers just a second too long, with a pressure that feels more like a restraint, right after you've shared a piece of good news, subtly communicating, "Don't get too big for your britches. Remember who's in charge here." This is not a conscious, mustache-twirling villainy. Oh no, that would be far too simple. This is the work of the shadow. Carl Jung, the brilliant psychologist, taught us that the shadow is the part of ourselves that we repress, deny, and refuse to acknowledge. It contains all the things we don't like about ourselves: our envy, our greed, our insecurities, our rage. A person who has not done their inner work, who has not faced their own shadow, does not simply keep it locked away. It leaks. It seeps out in their gestures, their tone of voice, and most potently in their touch. When a person who secretly envies your freedom touches you, their touch will not feel freeing. It will feel like a cage. their unacknowledged envy transmutes into an energy of restriction. When a person who feels insecure about their own intelligence offers you advice with a patronizing pat on the shoulder, their touch is not imparting wisdom. It is imparting their own feeling of inadequacy, a subtle energetic command for you to feel small so they can feel big. You, the empath, the spiritually gifted soul, are a finely tuned instrument. You don't just register the surface action, you register the deep unconscious intention behind it. Your nervous system is a polygraph for the soul. While your conscious mind is busy processing the words, "I'm so proud of you," your body is reacting to the energetic data embedded in the touch, which screams, "I can't stand to see you succeed where I have failed." And this creates a profound and painful cognitive dissonance. Your mind says they are being kind. Your body says this is a threat. Who do you believe? For most of your life, you have been conditioned to believe your mind. You've been told your feelings are irrational, that you're reading too much into things. Today, that conditioning ends. The first and most critical step in building your shield is to give your body's wisdom equal, if not greater, authority than your rationalizing mind. The feeling of wrongness is the message. It is not noise, it is the signal. The chill, the feeling of being drained, the sudden urge to pull away, that is pure, unadulterated truth arriving in your awareness before your mind has a chance to dress it up in a more socially acceptable lie. That is the beginning of your power. To truly grasp the mechanics of this violation, we must descend deeper into the realm of the unconscious mind, into the theater of the human psyche where these dark plays are staged. Let's explore the anatomy of the toxic touch, breaking it down into its constituent parts. The projection, the energy, and the psychological payload it delivers. This isn't just about bad vibes, it's about a targeted, albeit often unconscious, form of psychic attack. First, let's talk about projection, a cornerstone of Jungian psychology. Projection is a defense mechanism the ego uses to cope with difficult feelings. Instead of acknowledging an uncomfortable aspect of themselves, their shadow, a person will project it onto someone else. The world becomes a mirror of their own unowned darkness. You, with your high empathy and open energy, often become the perfect screen for these projections. You are a blank canvas upon which they can paint all the things they cannot stand about themselves. Consider the dynamic with a person who harbors a deep, unacknowledged well of resentment. Perhaps they feel life has been unfair to them, that they were denied opportunities, that they are a victim of circumstance. They have not done the difficult shadow work to integrate this bitterness, to transform it into resilience. So it festers within them. Now you enter the picture. You are working on your personal development. You are finding joy in small things. You are perhaps achieving a measure of success or peace that they crave. In their eyes, your light doesn't just illuminate your own life, it casts a harsh glare on their own perceived darkness. Your happiness becomes an indictment of their misery. They cannot consciously say, "Your joy makes me feel my own bitterness more acutely and I hate you for it." The ego would never allow such a raw, ugly admission. Instead, the shadow finds a more socially acceptable outlet. They will approach you, perhaps when you are at your most radiant, and say something like, "Oh, it's so wonderful to see you so happy. Just be careful, honey. Pride comes before a fall." And with these words, they will place a hand on your arm. Let's analyze that touch. It is not a celebratory touch. It is a touch of containment. The pressure is firm, grounding you as if to say, "Don't fly too high." The temperature of their hand might feel cool, not with a refreshing coolness, but with the damp chill of their own unresolved fear and resentment. The energy you receive is not one of shared joy, but of anxious warning. What has just happened? They have projected their own fear of failure, their own belief that happiness is fleeting and untrustworthy onto you. The touch is the delivery mechanism for this projection. It is a physical act that attempts to brand their limiting belief system onto your energetic body. They are in essence trying to pull you down into their own crab bucket, not with overt criticism, but with a touch that injects their shadow, their fear, their resentment, their limitations, directly into your spirit. You walk away from that interaction feeling a little less bright, a little more anxious, a little more doubtful of your own success. You might even start to sabotage yourself, believing their well-meaning warning was a prophecy. You didn't just have a conversation, you were the recipient of a psychic payload. The touch was the Trojan horse, and their projected shadow was the army hiding inside. Recognizing this dynamic is paramount. It's not about you. Their reaction, their touch, their energy, it is a confession of their own inner state. It is a map of their own unhealed wounds. When you see it as their story, not yours, you rob the projection of its power. You can observe it without absorbing it. Now let's move from the psychological mechanism of projection to the tangible physical reality of energy. While mainstream science is still catching up, spiritual traditions and quantum physics have long understood that everything is energy. Every thought, every emotion carries a specific frequency. Love, joy, and peace have high, expansive frequencies. Fear, anger, and shame have low, dense, contractive frequencies. Your body, as an empath, is exquisitely sensitive to these frequencies. A touch is one of the most powerful ways to transmit this energy. It bypasses the intellectual filters of the mind and communicates directly with the body's cellular and nervous systems. A genuinely loving and supportive touch carries a high frequency. It feels warm, open, and expansive. When someone who truly celebrates you touches your shoulder, it feels like a wave of strength is flowing into you. It doesn't seek to take anything, it only seeks to give. It feels light yet solid. There is no agenda in it, no hook. It resonates with your own energy and amplifies it. You feel seen, validated, and more yourself. It's a touch that says, I see your light, and my light rejoices with it. In stark contrast, the touch of a person operating from their shadow, from envy, control, or insecurity, carries a dense, low frequency. This is the hate in the well-meaning touch. It can manifest in several ways. There's the vampiric touch. This often comes from people who are energetically depleted themselves. They see your vitality, your life force, and they unconsciously seek to siphon it off. Their touch might feel clingy, sticky, or leave you feeling physically drained, as if a plug has been pulled. They hold on for a moment too long, their hand feeling like a suction cup. They are not trying to give you support, they are trying to take your fuel. Then there is the controlling touch. This is the touch of the person who needs to be in charge, who fears your autonomy. It's the hand on the small of your back that isn't guiding you but steering you through a room. It's the arm draped heavily over your shoulders that feels less like an embrace and more like a yoke. The pressure is asserting dominance. It's a physical manifestation of the message. You are mine to manage. Your movements, your choices are subject to my approval. It feels heavy, possessive, and suffocating. Finally, there is the devaluing touch. This is perhaps the most insidious of all. It's the condescending pat on the head, a gesture typically reserved for a child or a pet. It's the quick, dismissive pat on the arm after you've shared something vulnerable, as if to say, there, that's enough of that. This touch is designed to subtly infantilize you, to communicate that your feelings, your accomplishments, your very being are not to be taken seriously. It's a gesture of profound disrespect disguised as casual affection. It injects an energy of insignificance, making you question your own worth and gravity. Learning to decode these energetic signatures is like learning a new language, the native language of your soul. It requires you to be present in your body. The next time someone touches you, perform a silent internal check-in. Ignore their words for a moment. What is the asterisk physical sensation? Is it warm or cold, heavy or light, open or restrictive? Does it add to your energy or subtract from it? Does it make you want to lean in or pull back? Your body knows the difference between a touch that honors you and a touch that violates you. The hate is not in the action itself, but in the frequency it carries. By tuning into this frequency, you move beyond the confusing world of social niceties and into the crystal-clear realm of energetic truth. This brings us to the psychological payload. What is the ultimate goal of this toxic touch, this benevolent aggression? It is to keep you stuck. It is a mechanism of control designed to maintain a dysfunctional status quo. A person who benefits from your lack of confidence, your self-doubt, or your people-pleasing nature has a vested interest in you never healing, never growing, never becoming fully sovereign. Your individuation, your journey to becoming a whole and powerful self, is a direct threat to their world, which may be built upon your perceived weakness. Think about the ecosystem of a dysfunctional family or a toxic friend group. There are often unspoken roles. You might be cast as the sensitive one, the peacemaker, or the one who needs help. These roles, while limiting, create a predictable, stable, though unhealthy system. When you start to change, to build your confidence, to speak your truth, you are disrupting the entire system. You are breaking the unspoken contract. The other members of the system will then unconsciously engage in behaviors designed to pull you back into your old role. The well-meaning touch is a primary tool for this. When you announce you're starting a new business and a family member gives you that tight, anxious hug while whispering, "Are you sure you can handle that?" It's a big risk. They are delivering a payload of doubt. The touch anchors their anxiety into your body. The goal is to make you question yourself, to make you shrink back into the safe and predictable role you once occupied. When you set a boundary with a friend for the first time and they respond with a sad, limp handshake, saying, "I guess I just miss the old you," they are delivering a payload of guilt. The lifeless touch communicates disapproval and abandonment, aiming to make you feel so guilty that you drop the boundary and revert to your people-pleasing ways. This is a form of sabotage that is incredibly difficult to call out because it is wrapped in the language of love and concern. If you were to say, "Your hug felt controlling," you would be met with bewildered denial. "What are you talking about? I was just showing you I care." This is the genius of this particular brand of manipulation. It's designed to make you look and feel like the crazy one. It is a form of gaslighting that uses physical contact as its medium. They create a negative emotional and energetic experience and then deny the validity of that experience, forcing you to question your own sanity. The long-term effect of repeatedly absorbing these payloads is devastating. It can lead to chronic anxiety, depression, physical ailments, and a pervasive feeling of being stuck in life. You feel tired of trying because you are constantly swimming against an invisible current of negative energy projected by those closest to you. You engage in self-sabotage because you have been subtly programmed to believe you are not capable or deserving of more. You are carrying the weight not only of your own struggles, but of the projected, unhealed shadows of everyone around you. But here is where the path to liberation begins. The moment you understand this dynamic, the moment you can name it, you are no longer its prisoner. You are an observer. You can see the payload coming. You can feel the Trojan horse at your gates, and you can choose not to open them. This awareness is the first layer of the empath's shield. It is the watchtower from which you can survey the landscape of your relationships and identify the source of the incoming fire. You are no longer a mystified victim. You are a conscious strategist in the war for your own energy and well-being. This knowledge alone begins the process of transformation, shifting you from a state of passive absorption to one of active discernment. So let's take a moment to pause and integrate what we've uncovered. We've established that the unsettling feeling you get from a well-meaning touch is not your imagination. It is your intuition detecting a profound incongruence. We've seen how this works through the psychological mechanism of projection, where others unload their unowned shadow, their envy, insecurity, and resentment onto you. We've decoded the energetic signatures, learning to differentiate between a high-frequency touch of genuine support and the low-frequency touch of a vampiric, controlling, or devaluing nature. And we've understood the ultimate psychological payload of this dynamic: to keep you small, to keep you stuck, and to sabotage your growth in order to maintain a dysfunctional equilibrium. You can now see that these are not random acts of awkwardness. They are patterned, meaningful communications from the unconscious of another person, revealing their inner state and their hidden agenda regarding you. This awareness is the beginning of your freedom. From this point forward, you are no longer navigating these interactions blind. You have a map. You have a language for what was once an unspeakable, confusing pain. But recognizing the poison is only the first step. Now we must learn how to build the antidote, how to construct the shield. We are moving from the realm of diagnosis into the realm of alchemy, the transformation of this painful knowledge into impenetrable inner strength. The journey ahead is not about becoming cold or hard. It's about becoming so rooted in your own truth that the projections of others can no longer find purchase. Now I want you to ask yourself a question, and please be radically honest with your own heart. Think back to a specific person in your life whose touch consistently leaves you feeling drained, anxious, or diminished. It could be a parent, a sibling, a friend, a partner, a coworker. Picture them in your mind. Now recall the last time they touched you. What was the context? What did they say? More importantly, what did your body feel? Did you feel a tightening in your chest, a sinking in your stomach, an urge to physically wipe the spot where they touched you? And what did you do in that moment? Did you smile and pretend it was okay? Did you tell yourself a story to make it acceptable? A story like, oh, that's just how they are, or they don't mean anything by it. What would have happened? What would it have felt like to honor that initial visceral reaction? To take a small step back, to gently remove their hand, or to simply allow your face to show the truth of your discomfort? Reflect on the gap between what your body knew and what your mind allowed. That gap is where your power has been leaking, and that gap is what we are now going to learn to close forever. To construct the empath shield, we must begin with the most counterintuitive and most powerful step, not by focusing on them, but by turning our gaze inward. The ultimate protection doesn't come from building external walls, but from healing the internal vulnerabilities that allow toxic energy to enter in the first place. This is the profound work of integrating your own shadow. This is where Jungian psychology becomes not just a theory, but a manual for spiritual warfare and self-reclamation. You see, the reason you are such a potent target for other people's projections is not just because you are sensitive, but because, like all of us, you have your own unowned shadow. For many empaths and deeply sensitive people, the shadow often contains the very qualities you need for self-protection. Healthy aggression, the capacity for righteous anger, the ability to say a firm and unapologetic no, and the courage to prioritize your own well-being over the comfort of others. You have likely been conditioned to believe these qualities are bad, selfish, or unspiritual. You have pushed them into the darkness, choosing instead to identify solely with your compassionate, gentle, and accommodating side, your persona. But this creates a dangerous imbalance. By denying your own capacity for ferocity, you become a magnet for the unintegrated ferocity in others. Nature abhors a vacuum. If you refuse to occupy the space of your own power, someone else will gladly step in to occupy it for you. The person whose controlling touch suffocates you is drawn to you because your own unintegrated need for autonomy is calling out for a lesson. The person whose devaluing touch infantilizes you is drawn to you because you have not yet owned your own inner authority and crowned yourself a sovereign being. Shadow work in this context is the sacred act of reclaiming these disowned parts. It's about going into the basement of your psyche and making friends with the dragons you've locked away. It means admitting to yourself, yes, I do have anger. I am angry about the times my boundaries were violated. I am angry about being taken for granted. And instead of judging that anger as negative, you recognize it as sacred fuel. It is the life force energy you need to push back against what harms you. It is the dragon's fire that can incinerate the psychic payloads sent your way. Practically, this looks like allowing yourself to feel your anger without needing to act on it destructively. It can be done through journaling, screaming into a pillow, intense physical exercise, or simply sitting with the raw, hot sensation of rage in your body and affirming, you have a right to be here. You are trying to protect me. It means finding your no, not a hesitant, apologetic no, but a full-bodied, resonant no that comes from your core. You can practice this alone, saying no out loud until it feels solid and real in your own ears. This is you reclaiming your power to refuse, to reject, to decline. When you integrate your shadow, you become whole. You are no longer just the gentle lamb, you are also the fierce lion that protects the lamb. You are both compassionate and boundaried. You are both loving and lethal when it comes to defending your own spirit. And a funny thing happens when you reach this state of integration. The toxic people and their toxic touches begin to lose their appeal. A predator does not attack another predator, it seeks easier prey. When they sense that you are no longer a vacant space for their projections but a fully occupied territory, their unconscious mind will register you as not a target. The controlling person will feel the solidness of your integrated autonomy, and their touch will either soften or not be offered at all. The energy vampire will sense that your energy is no longer available for casual theft and will move on to an untapped source. Your shadow integration is the ultimate repellent. It is the foundational layer of your shield, forged in the fires of radical self-acceptance. With this foundation of integrated shadow in place, we can now build the next layer of the shield, the alchemy of boundaries. For too long, you have likely viewed boundaries as harsh, confrontational walls that create separation. I want to offer you a new perspective, a more refined understanding. A boundary is not a wall. It is a semi-permeable membrane, like the membrane of a living cell. It is an intelligent, energetic filter that you control. It doesn't block out love, support, and high-frequency energy. It is designed specifically to filter out the low-frequency energies of control, envy, and contempt that we have been discussing. It selectively keeps out the poison while allowing the nourishment to flow in. Setting a boundary is not just about the words you say. It is an art form that begins long before a single word is spoken. It is communicated through your body language, your eye contact, and the very energy you project. This is how you stop an unwanted touch before it even happens. Let's get practical. When you are in the presence of someone you know has a history of delivering these toxic touches, you can proactively manage your energetic and physical space. Instead of having an open, vulnerable posture, you can subtly shift. Perhaps you cross your arms, not in a hostile way, but in a self-contained way. This is a universal sign of I am holding my own space. You can angle your body slightly away from them, creating a small pocket of distance. You can hold an object, a book, a cup, a purse in front of your torso, creating a small physical buffer. These are not aggressive acts. They are subtle, powerful statements of sovereignty. You are non-verbally communicating, this is my space. Entry is by invitation only. Eye contact is another potent tool. Instead of the soft, yielding gaze of the classic empath, you can practice a calm, steady, and direct gaze. It is not a stare-down. It is a look that says, I see you, I am present, I am not afraid. This kind of eye contact communicates equality and self-possession. It disrupts the unconscious power dynamic that allows someone to feel they have the right to touch you in a demeaning or controlling way. They will register on a primal level that you are not a passive object, but a conscious subject, an equal player on the field. Now, what if the touch happens anyway? This is a critical moment. Your old programming will tell you to freeze and endure it. Your new, shield-equipped self has options. The most powerful response is often the most simple and non-dramatic. You can take a small, natural step back, just enough to break the physical contact. You can pivot your body as if you're turning to look at something else. You can use your own hand to gently and without malice lift their hand off your arm as you say, "Oh, excuse me, I just need to grab my glass." You are not making a scene. You are simply and calmly reclaiming your physical autonomy. You are teaching them through your actions what the rules of engagement are with you. You are conditioning them as one would train any animal that a certain behavior, the unwanted touch, results in a loss of connection. The verbal component of boundary setting can be powerful as well, but it must be delivered from your integrated self, not from a place of fear or apology. If someone gives you a devaluing pat on the head, you do not have to endure it. You can smile, gently catch their hand, and say with a calm, neutral tone, "I'd prefer if you didn't do that. Thank you." And then you change the subject. No big explanation is needed. You do not need to justify your boundary. Your preference is reason enough. The power is in the calm, firm, and unwavering delivery. This demonstrates that you are not asking for permission. You are stating a fact about your reality. This is the alchemy. You take the leaden moment of a boundary violation and you transmute it into a golden moment of self-respect and empowerment. Each time you do this, you add another layer of strength and resilience to your shield. To truly fortify this shield, however, we must travel even deeper, to the very origin of our vulnerabilities. We must embark on the sacred journey of healing the inner child. For many of us, especially those who grew up in environments where love was conditional or intertwined with control, our initial programming around touch is deeply flawed. The inner child is the part of your psyche that holds the emotions, memories, and beliefs from your childhood. If as a child the same hand that held you also hit you, or the hugs you received were contingent on being a good girl or a good boy, your young mind learned a dangerous lesson. Love is confusing. Love can hurt. Affection can be a tool for manipulation. This wounded inner child, living within your adult self, carries this confusion forward. When an adult in your present life touches you with that familiar, unsettling mixture of care and control, your inner child is the one who gets activated. The adult part of you might be confused, but the child part of you is re-experiencing an old trauma. It freezes, it fawns, it tries to appease the powerful adult figure, just as it learned to do to survive childhood. This is why you feel so powerless in those moments. You are not operating from your full adult consciousness. You are regressing to a younger, more vulnerable state. Healing the inner child, therefore, is not some sentimental, fluffy exercise. It is a critical component of building your empath shield. It is about becoming the wise, loving, and fiercely protective parent to yourself that you may have never had. This is a profound act of self-reclamation. The process begins with acknowledgement. You can start a dialogue with this younger part of you. You can do this through meditation, visualization, or journaling. Picture yourself at an age when you felt particularly vulnerable. See that little boy or little girl. And for the first time, instead of judging their fear or their neediness, you approach them with unconditional love. You, as your adult self, can say to this child, "I see you, I hear you. I know you're scared when that person touches us. I know it feels like we have to be nice or something bad will happen. But I am here now. I am the adult. I am strong, and I will protect you. You don't have to handle this alone anymore. I will set the boundary. I will keep us safe." This is not just a mental exercise. When you do this with genuine emotion and repetition, you are literally rewiring your neural pathways. You are creating a new inner reality where the vulnerable part of you learns to trust the strong, adult part of you. When you do this work, something magical happens in your external reality. The next time you encounter a toxic touch, you will not regress. Instead of the scared child taking over, your inner protective parent will step forward. You will feel a groundedness, a sense of righteous authority that was not accessible before. When you take that step back, or when you say, "I'd prefer if you didn't do that," you will be speaking not just for your adult self, but for the vulnerable child within that you have sworn to protect. Your voice will have a new weight. Your posture will have a new solidity. Your actions will be aligned with the deepest form of self-love. Healing your inner child is what mends the cracks in your energetic field. Those cracks and fissures formed by early life hurts are the very entry points that toxic energy uses to get in. When you seal those cracks with compassion, self-validation, and fierce inner protection, your shield becomes truly formidable. The projections of others no longer find a resonant wound to latch onto. The manipulative touches no longer trigger a regression into powerlessness. You become a sealed vessel, whole and complete within yourself. You can then interact with the world from a place of genuine, discerning love, not from a place of fear and obligation rooted in unhealed childhood pain. This is the path to becoming not just a survivor, but a thriver, fully embodied in your power and your peace. Now we arrive at a more advanced, yet profoundly practical technique for the empowered empath, the art of the energetic return to sender. Once you have done the inner work, integrating your shadow, learning the alchemy of boundaries, and beginning the healing of your inner child, you are no longer a passive victim. You are an active participant in the flow of energy. This technique is about what to do in the very moment you perceive a toxic energetic payload being delivered through a touch. Instead of absorbing it, you consciously and intentionally redirect it. This is not an act of aggression. You are not sending an attack back. Cursing someone or wishing them ill only lowers your own frequency and engages you in their low vibrational game. This is an act of sovereign neutrality. It is the energetic equivalent of a martial artist using their opponent's momentum against them. You are simply refusing to accept a package that is not addressed to you. It is their shadow, their insecurity, their resentment. It belongs to them, not to you. Your only job is to ensure it gets returned to its rightful owner for them to deal with. Here's how it works. It's a practice of focused visualization and intention. The moment you feel that controlling hand on your back or that devaluing pat on your arm, instead of tensing up and absorbing the energetic blow, you do the opposite. You remain internally relaxed but focused. In your mind's eye, you visualize the dense, murky, or spiky energy that is attempting to transfer from their hand into your body. You see it clearly. And with a calm, firm intention, you visualize that energy hitting the surface of your auric field, your shield, and either bouncing off harmlessly and dissolving or flowing down your body into the earth to be neutralized. A powerful alternative is to visualize the energy flowing right back up their arm to them. Let's imagine that condescending pat on the back from an envious colleague. As their hand makes contact, you take a quiet, deep breath. In your mind, you see the gray, sticky energy of their envy trying to seep into you. But it can't. You visualize your shield, perhaps as a shimmering field of golden or violet light. The envy hits the shield, and like water off a duck's back, it beads up and rolls right off, falling to the floor and disappearing. You remain untouched. You might offer a polite, neutral smile, all the while knowing that their attempt at sabotage has utterly failed. You have successfully refused delivery. Or consider the vampiric touch of the energetically needy friend. As they cling to your arm, you visualize their energetic cords or tentacles attempting to plug into you. Instead of allowing this, you visualize your shield as being made of a smooth, polished mirror. Their energetic cords touch the mirror and see their own reflection. The energy they were trying to pull from you is contained and reflected right back to them. They are left to sit with their own emptiness, which is the only way they can ever be motivated to learn how to generate their own life force. You are not being cruel, you are being a master teacher. You are refusing to enable their dysfunction. The return to sender technique can be paired with a quiet internal mantra. As you perform the visualization, you can say to yourself, "What is yours is yours. What is mine is mine. I release your energy back to you with love for your own healing." The with love part is crucial. It keeps you in a high-frequency state. You are not engaging in a battle. You are performing a sacred act of energetic hygiene. You are maintaining the pristine nature of your own temple. This practice transforms you from a sponge into a sovereign energetic being. You no longer have to fear encounters with toxic people. You can walk into any room, any family gathering, any workplace with a quiet confidence, knowing that you possess the skill to maintain your own energetic integrity. You are no longer at the mercy of the unseen currents of other people's unresolved issues. You are the calm, conscious center of your own universe. The touch that was once a weapon of subtle violation becomes nothing more than a neutral physical event, stripped of its power to harm you. This is a profound shift. It is the moment the student becomes the master, the moment the empath learns to wield their sensitivity not as a cross to bear, but as a finely honed superpower for discernment and self-preservation. All of these steps, recognizing the toxic touch, integrating your own shadow, mastering boundaries, healing the inner child, and practicing the energetic return to sender, are not just disparate self-help techniques. They are integral stages in a much grander, more profound process. They are the building blocks of what Carl Jung called individuation. This is the ultimate goal, the magnum opus of the human psyche. Individuation is the lifelong journey of becoming the most complete, authentic, and whole version of yourself. It is the process of differentiating your true self from the collective unconscious, from the expectations of your parents, from the roles society has cast for you, and from the projections of others. The person who is still enmeshed in these external forces is not yet individuated. Their identity is a patchwork of other people's beliefs and desires. They are easily swayed, easily manipulated, and easily drained because they have not yet found their own solid center. The challenges you have faced as an empath, the confusion, the pain, the exhaustion from these toxic interactions are not a curse. They are a calling. They are the grit in the oyster that creates the pearl. The very pain of these encounters is the catalyst for your individuation journey. It is what forces you to ask the deep questions. Who am I, separate from what others want me to be? What is my truth? Where do I end, and where does another person begin? Every time you choose to honor your gut feeling over someone else's comforting lie, you take a step towards individuation. Every time you reclaim a piece of your shadow, you become more whole. Every time you set a firm, loving boundary, you are defining the sacred territory of yourself. Every time you soothe your own inner child, you are severing the dysfunctional cords of the past. You are piece by piece building your own unique, sovereign identity. The well-meaning touch is a perfect litmus test for this process. In your unindividuated state, the touch throws you into confusion and self-doubt. You absorb the projection, you question your own reality, you shrink. But as you progress on the path of individuation, your reaction changes. You feel the touch, you recognize the energy, you discern the intention, and you remain unmoved in your center. You see it for what it is, a piece of data about the other person's inner world, not a statement about your own. You may feel a moment of compassion for their unhealed state, but you do not take on their burden as your own. You are separate, you are whole, you are free. This journey is the alchemy of the soul. It is about transforming the lead of your suffering into the gold of your consciousness. It is about realizing that your sensitivity is not a weakness, but the very antenna that allows you to perceive these subtle energies and navigate the world with profound wisdom. The people who deliver these toxic touches are not your enemies. They are your unwitting Zen masters. They are the sandpaper that polishes your soul, forcing you to become smoother, stronger, and more luminous. They are the agents of your own transformation, pushing you out of the comfortable nest of unconsciousness and forcing you to grow the wings you need to fly. When you embrace this perspective, the fear dissolves. The resentment dissolves. All that is left is a quiet, powerful gratitude for the journey itself. You understand that every interaction, especially the difficult ones, is an opportunity to practice your art, to strengthen your shield, to become more fully yourself. You are no longer just trying to survive social interactions. You are using them as a training ground for your own spiritual evolution. This is the ultimate shift from victim to creator, from a person to whom life happens, to a person who consciously co-creates their reality. This is the promise and the power of the individuation path, a path you have already begun simply by seeking this knowledge today. This is how you change your life, not by changing the world around you, but by becoming an immovable, fully realized presence within it. We have traveled far on this inner journey together. We began by holding up a light to a secret, confusing pain, the feeling of hate and violation hidden within a well-meaning touch. We have moved from confusion to clarity, from victimhood to empowerment. We recognize the mechanics of benevolent aggression, understanding how the unhealed shadows of others are projected onto us through physical contact, delivering payloads of doubt, guilt, and control. We learn to decode the language of energy, to trust the wisdom of our bodies, and to see these interactions not as personal attacks, but as confessions of another's inner turmoil. From this place of understanding, we began to construct the empath's shield, not a wall of ice, but a living, intelligent field of energy forged from the most profound inner work. We embraced the courage to face our own shadow, reclaiming the power of our anger and our no. We transformed our understanding of boundaries from walls of separation to brilliant filters of self-respect. We traveled back in time to comfort and reclaim our wounded inner child, healing the very vulnerabilities that toxic people exploit. We learned the high art of the energetic return to sender, becoming masters of our own sacred space. And finally, we placed all of this work into its true context. The heroic journey of individuation, the lifelong process of becoming a whole, authentic, and sovereign self. You now possess the map and the tools. The path is no longer hidden. The choice, as always, lies with you. To continue to allow the subtle poisons of the world to seep in, or to commit to the daily practice of maintaining your shield, of honoring your energy, of living in alignment with your deepest truth. This is not a one-time fix, but a new way of being. It is a commitment to your own soul. So I leave you with this to carry forward into your life. The next time you feel that familiar, unsettling touch, that hug that feels like a cage, that pat that feels like a judgment, see it not as a moment of pain, but as a moment of opportunity. It is a pop quiz from the universe asking you, have you remembered who you are yet? It is a chance to practice your art, to stand in your power, and to silently, powerfully answer yes. Walk forward from this moment not as a fragile sponge, but as a radiant, sovereign being armored in self-awareness and rooted in unshakable self-love. Your energy is your most sacred currency, the very fabric of your life force. Protect it fiercely, invest it wisely, and never ever again allow anyone to devalue it with a touch that is anything less than respectful, genuine, and true. The world will not change for you, but you can change how you move through it. And in doing so, you change everything. What is one well-meaning gesture you have tolerated for far too long, and what is the first small, powerful step you will take this week to honor your truth instead? Let the answer to that question be the beginning of your revolution. The conversation doesn't end here. It begins now within you, and in the choices you make every single day. Your transformation awaits.